Bitcoin mass adoption. Do you think Bitcoin mass adoption is going to happen? I believe that it is, and I believe that the SEC, there's two news stories that show that the SEC is fearful that Bitcoin mass adoption may occur. And I say fearful. Why would the SEC fear Bitcoin? Well, if you understand the primary use case of Bitcoin, then you would, and the origination of Bitcoin, then you might begin to see why the SEC could potentially fear, or the financial sector as a whole could fear Bitcoin mass adoption. And in this video, there's a couple things I'm going to cover. I'm going to cover the news stories that I believe confirm that the SEC is fearful or worried or concerned about Bitcoin mass adoption with the general population and Bitcoin mass adoption as a financial instrument. And I'm going to discuss that. I'm going to show some proof of where government entities have pushed back negatively. And I'm also going to make the case of where I see that Bitcoin could become a major player in North America as a financial instrument. And I'm going to show some proof. So those are the three things I'm going to cover. This news story, and I'm going to back this news story up with a little bit of proof, and then explain why I think this could be confirmed, and why I think the U.S. may ultimately, in spite of regulations, in spite of government entities and financial organizations that could be pushing back against Bitcoin, why I think that it will still ultimately potentially get adopted by the masses. Bitcoin mass adoption. So now here's the thing. On my YouTube channel, you're going to get something a little bit different than you get on a lot of YouTube channels. I don't speculate just on price. I am an investor in the space fully, and I don't give financial advice. I don't mind sharing with you sometimes with what I'm doing, but you make your own decisions. However, you're not going to get the normal hoopla. I don't try to guess price action. Look, the market's down. The market's down. Okay, you know what that means? In my opinion, it means things continue to be on sale. Dollar cost average with money you can afford to invest and continue to pick it up. I mean, right now we're talking about picking up Ethereum at $85. When's the last time you saw Ethereum that cheap? If they would have told you 6 months ago you could have got Ethereum for $85 and it was trading close to 500, you'd have been like, what? Some people thought that would never happen. Bitcoin. Heck, Bitcoin may be headed to $1,000. Can you imagine being able to pick up Bitcoin again? You thought that opportunity was long gone. Yeah, we may get a chance to do it again. I mean, that's crazy if it keeps going down. But already you can get Bitcoin at 3,400. That's insane pricing, like insane. Especially if you believe that it's going to eventually we're going to have Bitcoin mass adoption, or totally cryptocurrency mass adoption, really. So let's talk about these stories for a moment. If you like the content, if you like the direction that I'm going in this video, please hit that subscribe button, and please give me a like, and put a comment down below. If you disagree with something that I'm saying, let me know. But I think that many of you who are in this space are going to be able to agree with this. And you may have something to add to the conversation, so please leave a comment below. So let's talk about this. SEC again delays decision on Van Erik SolidX Bitcoin ETF. They have delayed, I think there's 6 ETFs, if I'm not mistaken, Bitcoin ETFs that they've delayed. Now, here's the thing. The cryptocurrency market, other YouTube channels get all excited by this. They're like, oh, you know, Bitcoin. I don't think Bitcoin ETFs are a great idea. Yes, it would cause a price spike most likely, but it would be a spike. Until there's more solid use, more solid mass adoption behind Bitcoin, it's just going to be a constant kind of a pump and dump manipulated situation by the financial industry as a whole, just looking to make profits and ultimately squeeze the little guy and gal, the small investors, if you will, especially the small investors who are trading in and out. Ultimately, if Bitcoin to become a stable cryptocurrency long time, it's going to have mass adoption. It's going to have to be grassroots individuals who say, hey, I trust a decentralized public blockchain far more than I trust a private, potentially corrupt banking system. And that's already occurring, and I'm going to show you proof where that's occurring in other countries a little bit later in this video. But that's what we're going to have to see. I believe, I'm going to make this prediction now. I don't believe we'll see an ETF approval in 2018 at all, and I don't believe we'll see one in 2019. And I reserve the right to be 100% wrong 100% of the time. However, I don't think we're going to see it, and I don't necessarily think that it's a good thing, especially if we see it too soon. Now, if Bitcoin does hit mass adoption and there's ultimately an ETF for it, then so be it at that point. But by then, we'll be trading cryptocurrency and financial instruments on decentralized exchange on some sort of blockchain anyway. That's ultimately where we're headed, and so that's where I think we'll see something like an ETF. It'll be on another decentralized exchange most likely. That's just my guess. That's my belief. I told you, I'm not like every other YouTuber in this space. I'm not getting all excited about price appreciation looking for an ETF, and I'm definitely not like every other cryptocurrency investor who's, you know, really freaking out. And I get why people are freaking out and they're losing money, they're panicking, and everything else. I get it. You know, they're losing value in fiat. I do understand that. But at the same time, I'm in this game for the long term, so I don't see it as the end of the world. By the way, my bags are low as well, but that's okay because I'm able to get in cheaper and I continue to dollar cost average in. And that's a good thing. Look, by the way, I know you may think I'm crazy when I say we may not see a ETF for a year, but check this out. Pro Crypto SEC Commissioner, don't wait on Bitcoin ETF. Could take days or years. She's telling you right here, this is December 6th. She's telling you right here, could take years. Do you see this? Don't wait on it. At a cryptocurrency conference in Washington, D.C., the commissioner said that she is working with the commission to approve an ETF based on Bitcoin and to convince more commissioners to be more open-minded toward digital assets. Despite the optimistic stance of Pierce towards the emerging asset class, the SEC has five commissioners, and a majority ruling is required for an ETF to pass. Pierce said that investors should not wait on the ruling of the SEC, as it could potentially take a long time before the SEC comes around and approves it. She says, quoted, "Don't hold your breath. I do caution people not to live or die on when a crypto or Bitcoin ETF gets approved. You all know that I am working on trying to convince my colleagues to have a bit more of an open mind when it comes to crypto. I am not as charming as some other people." Meaning she's not having a lot of success. And this is what she's saying publicly. So what's happening behind closed doors? Listen, if you understand the banking system that we have and the fractional reserve lending system that exists, and you understand the financial system, the entire financial system is dependent upon it, and in a roundabout way, the entire securities system is dependent on it. Hence, the SEC, Securities Exchange Commission, who oversees the securities in the U.S. If you understand all of that, then you can understand why the SEC could be fearful of where, once you let the genie out of the bottle, what could happen with a decentralized public blockchain. I'm going to put a card in the top right-hand corner on a video that I made talking about fractional reserve lending. And if you watch that video, you're going to realize something that most people have no idea. When you understand fractional reserve lending, then you're going to understand why Bitcoin literally, or any cryptocurrency that it offers that can be a financial product, a financial that can operate as a currency on a decentralized public blockchain, you understand the tremendous advantages of that sort of a setup, a trustless environment, as opposed to fractional reserve lending. So if you haven't already, if you haven't seen that video before, take a look at the top of the screen and click on that card and watch that video now, or save it to the end of this video. Either way. All right, so she already says we may not see a ETF for years potentially. So I think that's just confirmation, by the way, that the SEC is threatened by Bitcoin, which means that they believe that ultimately mass adoption could occur. And I think that they're worried about letting the genie out of the bottle. They don't want to bring any attention to cryptocurrency. That's my belief on this. And if you take a look at this, where's Bitcoin surging historically? This is I think this is an order. What is this? This is from 2017. However, it makes a great use case. Check this out. Bitcoin use surges in countries who have bad monetary systems or large outdoor market environments. Okay, the Daily Economist. Check this out. On February 2nd, Venezuela's leading Bitcoin exchange, Sir Bitcoin, was forced to suspend operations when its bank account was revoked, according to Rodrigo. Who do you think revoked the bank account? The government? According to Rodrigo Souza, who runs Sir Bitcoin's trading platform, the bank closed the account in anticipation of a nationwide crackdown on Bitcoin use in Venezuela after police raided a warehouse with 11,000 mining computers. Sir Bitcoin is in talks with other banks and hopefully it will be operating again soon. As he predicted, Sir Bitcoin's closure has led to a surge in peer-to-peer trading. Local Bitcoins, a site where users connect to buy and sell Bitcoins, makes its trade volume public through an API. Last week, 464 Bitcoins were exchanged in Venezuela. Local Bitcoins, the equivalent of nearly $470,000 based on today's price. This is back in 2007. That's close to a 50% increase in volume since Sir Bitcoin stopped operating. So think about that for a moment. Now, why did that happen in Venezuela? Because Venezuela's government was printing more currency. And what that's ultimately doing is it's causing a situation. It's causing a situation where the Venezuelan dollar is becoming worth less and less. And there's all sorts of capital controls. They're controlling the financial currency, and people are fearful about their currency losing value, and so therefore they're trying to operate in Bitcoin. Here's another one. Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies uses are spreading rapidly in the Kingdom of Morocco on the blind side of the global Satoshi community. Professional crypto trader and developer, this gentleman, estimates that more than 200,000 of Bitcoin trading is done daily under the radar in his native Morocco. Elim is a leading member of the crypto community in his country with a huge following and the main developer of Atlas Coin, one of Africa's only two cryptocurrencies. He is positive Morocco has a lot to offer to the digital currency world. Morocco's unwillingness to open up enough to the rest of the world may account for the silent revolution that is going on there. Some pundits think Morocco might be ahead of some of the countries in Africa. Morocco is perceived as leaders in Bitcoin adoption like Kenya, Ghana, and even Nigeria. Again, all these places where they've had unstable governments, unstable monetary systems. For the first time ever, in the past couple of years, we're seeing these countries are able to take back control of their own monetary situation by using something that doesn't require banks, doesn't require a central governing body, and that's Bitcoin, the leading cryptocurrency on a decentralized public blockchain. All right. There is the general confidence in the Moroccan cryptocurrency community that there is great potential in their arena. Whatever. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, that's it. So if you take a look, by the way, this is, I think, Morocco. Look at let me see, read. Oh, this is Venezuela. Venezuela, look at the use, how it's skyrocketing. Again, if you research their economy, they have a tremendous amount of inflation on their dollar, which means their dollars are buying less and less every single month. And so oh, this is on same thing. Okay, so what does that mean for the US? Well, let's take a look at something. The consequence of a large growing national debt. If you've seen on my channel the video Money as Debt, I featured that video on my channel. It's not my video, I just featured it, but it's Money as Debt. If you go watch that and you understand the financial system and how it was first designed, I'll put a card at the top of the screen for Money as Debt. But go check that out. It's a 45-minute documentary that is incredible, that shows you, when you understand the banking system, then you understand why ultimately we have no choice. A cryptocurrency, either we're going to start dealing in silver and gold or in cryptocurrency. And I believe ultimately it's going to be cryptocurrency. Mainly because it's easy to move cryptocurrency across borders. It's not easy to move gold back and forth across borders. The consequences of a large national growing debt. This is an article, but here's what I want you to recognize in this article. This is an old article back from 2015. This is from the Congressional Budget Office, and this is the debt back then. By the way, our debt has gone up, much higher than in 2015. We're into 2018, coming in 2019. I mean, our debt has practically doubled. But anyway, let's take a look at this. How long the nation could sustain such growth in federal debt is impossible to predict with any confidence. At some point, investors would begin to doubt the government's willingness or ability to meet its debt obligations, requiring it to pay much higher interest costs in order to continue borrowing money. Such a fiscal crisis would prevent policymakers with extremely difficult choices and would probably have a substantial negative impact on the country. Unfortunately, there is no way to predict confidently whether or when such a financial crisis might occur in the United States. In particular, as the debt to the GDP ratio rises, there is no identifiable point indicating that a crisis is likely or imminent. While all else being equal, the larger a government's debt, the greater risk of financial crisis. Even before a crisis occurred, the high and rising debt that the CBO projects in the extended baseline would have macroeconomic effects with significant negative consequences for both the economy and the federal budget. And ladies and gentlemen, when this happens, this is when it's situations like this that Venezuela's government starts printing more money and it starts devaluing their currency. if we're not careful, our government's in this situation, and some would argue they already have been. If you understand what quantitative easing has been, so I mean, therefore, again, I think with the news that the SEC has stated, they're showing that they're concerned about taking the genie out of the bottle, because once there's a Bitcoin ETF, then one thing that it will do is it will help create some awareness. And I'm going to tell you right now, I don't care if you're an investor in this space or not, you definitely at least want to understand what cryptocurrency is. All right, one more. Let's take a look at it. This is how the debt, so the article we just read was from 2015, right here. This is the debt has went from up from 18, whatever that is, billion dollars. No, 18 trillion. $18 trillion, 18,000 billion is 18 trillion. $18 trillion up to $20 trillion, 20,000 billion, which I think is $20 trillion. That's crazy. That's just crazy. So the U.S. debt is a, okay, hold on. Where was it at? Where was it at? Right here. America's debt is the largest sovereign debt in the world. There's no country that has ever in the history of the world been as much debt as we are in right now. America's debt is the largest sovereign debt in the world for a single country. It runs neck and neck with that of the European Union, which is a unified trade body of 28 member countries. So you think about that. I mean, that is mind-blowing. Let's look at this for a minute. How the debt got so big. The U.S. debt is the sum of all outstanding debt owed by the federal government. It's exceeded $21 trillion on March 15, 2018. The U.S. Treasury Department's debt to penny shows that the current total public debt outstanding. This figure changes every day. The debt clock in New York also tracks it. 2/3 is debt held by the public. The government owes this to buyers of U.S. Treasury bills, notes, and bonds. This includes individuals, companies, and most importantly, foreign governments. The remaining third is an intra-governmental debt. The Treasury owes this to its various departments who hold government account securities, Social Security. Meaning, okay, so here's the thing most people don't think about. One of the largest holders of our debt is our own Social Security fund. So there are people in the U.S., when it says that it is a debt, it is saying that I want you to think about this. Most people, this is showing you that it is all smoke and mirrors. So the largest holder, one of the largest holders of our debt is our own Social Security funds. This means that there are people right now paying into Social Security expecting to get it at some point in the future when they get, to be 63, 65, whatever. Yet at this very moment, there's no money there to pay them. There's no money there to pay them. So what's happening is new payers into the system right now are having to pay for the benefits of the old payers who've already been in the system. And this thing collapses when there's not enough new people to pay. In other words, the new investors are paying the old investors, and this is a collapse when there's not enough new investors to pay the old investors. That's the absolute definition of a Ponzi scheme. They have robbed the Social. They're in such bad situation. When Social Security first came into existence, that money was supposed to be locked away, earmarked, and never touched. Because back when it became in existence, the citizens were concerned that the government would steal the money. So when Social Security first came about, the only way they got it to pass as a law is in the law they promised they wouldn't touch it. That money would be earmarked and it couldn't be touched. That would guarantee that the money you put into Social Security, if you're a U.S. citizen, would be there when you got to retirement age. But then, somewhere between, I think it's like 5 to 15 years, if I remember right from the article that I read, all of a sudden Congress passed another law, hey, we're going to use the Social Security money. And it was okay because it was such a surplus, there was so much of it, and they just spent it. Does it look like... That's not what I wanted. Is it here? Nope, it's not there. Here we go. Does it look like, at the rate that the debt is going up, do you understand? Our debt is over 100+% of GDP, gross domestic product, meaning that our debt, we owe more on our debt than we earn as a country. We owe more on our debt. We cannot pay our debts. In a single year, we can't even service our debt. We can't pay the principal on our debts. We can't cover it. We owe more every year than what we bring in. So we're going further in debt. That's crazy. I'm going to put a card at the top on at the very top talking about the Federal Reserve, because you need to understand where does, so if we owe more money than we make, how do we pay the debt? Well, it's by issuing money through the Federal Reserve. And once you understand how that, when you understand that how that system works, then you're like, oh, this is like, it will make your brain go numb, and you're gonna thank your lucky stars that you're one of the people who understand what Bitcoin is and cryptocurrency is. That's why I don't care. Like, I see the market's dropping, and it's like, okay, it is what it is. That just means that we're, you know, that we're able to, we're getting another chance to buy in cheap. That's my personal belief. Again, that's not financial advice. Don't listen to a dumb YouTuber for your financial advice. That's my prerogative. That's how I feel about it. And by the way, this is why I love things like my passive income crypto strategy. And I'm gonna put a link at the end of this video, by the way, on the end card, and you can see that playlist. But one of the reasons that I do that, and I'm going to continue adding to that playlist, so subscribe to my channel if you want to be able to get the rest of that playlist, because I've got some more videos in the works. But this is confirmation for me. A lot of people are like, oh, the SEC, you know, they delayed again. Crap, the market's dropping. SEC commissioner says don't expect it for years. What's going on? Oh, this is horrible. No, it's not. This is just proof that the SEC is threatened by what could happen if the genie gets out of the bottle. This is absolute proof to me. And without question, sooner or later, the genie's going to come out of the bottle. Sooner or later, our government's going to have to start making decisions that we're not going to like. Sooner or later, citizens are going to start recognizing that, you know, the government's printing too much money. They're going in too much debt. The stock market is already getting shaky. People are starting to get nervous. I mean, the stock market is dropping like 500 points, 700 points. Back in the 2000s when that happened, the stock market, if it had dropped 700 points, people would have freaked out. It dropped 700 points down, they're like, oh, it's just a 700 point drop. It's a 500 point drop. You'll see a couple scary headlines. Most people don't know. They're not paying attention right now. Ladies and gentlemen, cryptocurrency is real. It's here to stay. And I believe the SEC has confirmed that Bitcoin mass adoption is on the way as well. Is it going to happen this year? I don't know. I don't think so. Is it going to happen next year? I don't think so. Is it going to happen within 5 years? It could. It depends on the policies of the country. Now, our governments are great at finding a new creative way to keep kicking the can down the road, but you can't kick the can down the road forever. I'm dollar cost averaging in. I am hodling, holding on for dear life for the rest of my life. And my kids will have my Bitcoins, they'll have my Satoshis, because I'm going to make certain that their future is secure when this whole thing tanks, because I believe sooner or later it's going to tank. And it's not a bad thing, because I'm preparing now for myself and my family. And those of you that are in this space, just recognize the market's going down. Don't get caught up because everybody's excited about a ETF. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. I believe that we've hit all-time highs, and I believe the market's just going to go even higher. And so knowing that, I'm like, wow, Bitcoin was up at almost $20,000. That's awesome. And now here it is at $3,000. I'm getting a chance to get in at much cheaper prices. Who would have thought that? I fully believe in the next year, maybe the next 5 years, 10 years, whatever, it's going to go back over $20,000. That's my belief. Again, not financial advice for you. You make your own decision, but that's my belief. This space is incredible. Can you believe what we get to be a part of, and that the rest of the world still don't quite get it yet? If you watch my cards above on money as debt, you watch my card on fractional reserve banking, you watch my card on the Federal Reserve, you're going to get it in a way that nobody else is really getting it. In fact, most YouTubers in this space, in this cryptocurrency space, do not get it. They simply don't get it. They're just playing the price action game, which is beautiful. All those guys are going to get shaken out sooner or later. I mean, they're getting crushed trying their fancy technical analysis. They're getting stomped on by the market. And they're going to continue to get stomped on. And it's unfortunate. It's sad. But you and me, if you understand where the market's headed, you understand the use case the way that we do, then you'll recognize that Bitcoin mass adoption has to occur. There has to be a decentralized, trustless, public blockchain that will transform our financial banking system as we know it. And we are on the cutting edge, ladies and gentlemen. It's unbelievable. Thank you so much for watching. Go ahead and watch my playlist on the crypto income passive strategy, passive crypto income strategy. I always forget how I typed it in. Passive income crypto strategy. Go ahead and watch that playlist. Hit that subscribe button. Give me a thumbs up. Let me know your thoughts below. Thank you so much for watching. Have an awesome day.